get you the ratings and also the
Okay.
template, the document.
And then, I almost kind of see it a little bit of how we do our superintendent evaluation, where we actually, not as in-depth, because you are doing the evaluation, but that we as a board get an opportunity to actually discuss the progress of our central office administrators, because oftentimes some of their progress is reflected in your evaluation. And so I think that the two need to be kind of tied together.
That's kind of the check and balance.
Yeah.
Is that
So,
if I'm not doing a good job, then
right,
it falls on me.
right. So I think that that's something that probably should be added as an extra step, so to speak.
Good idea.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Are we also discussing 7B? About Gary King and the
Yeah,
26th?
yeah.
In the 5 o'clock is my mistake. I'll say that up front. I should have left that blank. I'm not sure what time you want to have them come.
Well, thank you. I don't want this to sound the way it's going to, but really, why is he coming and how much is it costing? I know I said I didn't want to
I was
have him
going to say
quoted.
that.
I didn't want to have him quoted or a letter from him quoted if he wasn't here, but seriously,
Yeah, again.
I don't think we need him here. I don't think we know what our responsibilities are. We know what our rights are. You know, I think it's unnecessary. And I'll leave it at that, and it's up to the board's discretion.
Okay. Thank you.
So is it 5 or 5:15?
5:15.
It's supposed to be 5:15, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that's what it says here.
Yeah,
It says
well,
5:15?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the-
mine says
on the
5:15.
agenda.
Oh,
That's why I was
you know
wondering
what?
when
It's
you
because
said.
I've
that
got
the
the
one
one
that
that
Anna
Anna
sent
sent
us?
me in the,
That's why I was wondering where I was getting 5 at. 5:15.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh, man.
That's why I was asking.
Throwing off the email.
Okay. All right.
And we'll put a notification, just in case it goes over, that when the agenda gets posted, that the meeting is scheduled to start at 6, but it may go a little over. I don't see it going much more, than 6:15 or 6:30, but.
Especially not at $200 an hour.
Well, that would seem cheap if you make a mistake that, or
Yeah.
somebody. We're trying to keep everybody out of hot water. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I think I have clarity. Just in summary,
Okay.
we'll have 2 separate proposals, and we'll have the executive session at 5:15, and we'll work on getting you some additional information related to employee performance data, evaluation instruments, and work on a possible policy that kind of sets a more prescribed timeline for the board with contract extensions and negotiations for the non-union folks.
Carl, just had something come to my mind. When either you or Ms. Peck do the email to us letting us know who expires when, can you include the current contract with that in the email? Is that,
A copy of the contract?
yeah, can you scan them?
We have them electronically.
Okay. The reason being, I'm going to admit this, my office is a disaster. As you know, I couldn't find something last week. That's no excuse, I'm a mess. But, that way we can refer to it to give the superintendent the courtesy of knowing if we have any concerns now, maybe he can address them.
Yeah, I
Maybe he
think-
can tell us
Actually, I'm
why
pretty
it
sure
is the
we
way
sent
it
all
is.
those contracts out last year too, so I'll just resurrect that email.
Just to word in the current agreements that we made, because I know we had letters of understanding.
Yep.
and- Thank you.
Okay. Item 8, just a reminder and an update on what we're doing with our remaining sinking fund dollars.
So currently, the sinking fund has approximately $367,000 in fund balance. We discussed basically the budget that was approved last June for the 11-12 school year noted 2 things: that we would end up with a $360,000 fund balance going into the year, that we would collect no revenue for sinking fund in 2011-2012, and the recommendation at that time was to budget a line item for the upgrade of the fire system at the high school. approximately $275,000. In addition to that, we have been talking about this really for those that were on the Finance Committee last year, as early as April, May in 2011, if you're bringing back some memories. I just wanted to remind you, we're in the stages of moving forward with that project. What we have to do first is basically get an assessment of the current system. We believe that there's a portion of the building, you won't be surprised by this, the atrium and the gym area, that is fairly new fire system equipment. So we would have an assessment to do the remaining part of the building. That's an upfront cost to the district, or it would be an upfront cost of about $24,000 to do an assessment and design of the project. Once that is complete, the project would be bid based on the necessity of the old versus the new, and we would move forward with the implementation during the summer this year, which would mean that all summer programs, including summer school, would probably be moved to the middle school or another building.
10% of the project cost for, ouch.
Yeah.
Is Barton Mail, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. McLaughlin.
I'm sorry. Is Barton Malo still the
They are
project manager?
they are the construction manager, and in addition, due to the fact that we've had some issues in the past, there is a 5% contingency built into this program, or plan. Now, there is one.
We're still on the hook with them. I mean, I don't want to say stuck well, yes, I do. We're stuck with them until June 30th.
Yes. The one item that we have not talked about that has kind of come to light over the probably last fall, I was informed that the high school tennis courts are in very dire need of a repair, seal, or replacement. And so we did some homework in terms of, what it would cost to seal the cracks. If you get some time, you might want to visit over there to see what I'm talking about. But in terms of sealing the cracks, we're talking about $25,000 to replace the entire tennis courts at the high school would be close to $80,000. Due to the fact of our situation and finances, we would barely have enough in the sinking fund to complete the fire safety at the the fire upgrade at the high school and the tennis courts. And we would pretty much exhaust the sinking fund.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Did we contact, obviously it may still just be in the, we want to do this phase.
Is-
Ray Mart?
We have not, and you're right, we are still in the not implementation, but planning stages, so I will
Ray
note
Mart
that.
is a Romulus business.
Okay.
There's also, I believe, highway maintenance that does asphalt work. That's
Yeah,
here in
you've mentioned that
Romulus.
before, somebody has, I think you
I
have.
think the suggestion was that we're not going to re-asphalt them at this point. We're
We
going
were-
to use actually they use a
patch
polymer
and
that
seal, yeah.
that
Right.
basically, they fill it with sand or gravel
Right.
to what, and then they put a polymer over to
Well, I
make it
I
flush.
believe these companies, I'm sure would.
Well, and note the
Yeah.
vendors,
And with
because we
their
always
local
look at
vendors,
trying to
what
look.
we wanna-
Mhm.
we
I
wanna-
just want you to be aware, at that point, the sinking fund would be exhausted.
Well-
As you know, right now, our plan is not to levy that sinking fund in the future, but we do have some needs, in the future. Not only that, if we have a major repair or maintenance that has to be done at any of our buildings, we would then, at that point, be forced to use general fund money.
I would just ask, if we're, in the planning stages, because we have not discussed, budget implications for next year, and that athletics may become an issue, make sure we're not stuck into a contract to resurface tennis courts if we're not going to have a tennis program. I mean, I don't want to scare anybody, but that's the reality of it, and it'd be kind of foolish to put money out there if we're going to eliminate program.
Now, you may be wondering what we're doing in the meantime if we don't replace those. We don't really have a plan for where our tennis team, if we had one, or
Can you
have
go to
one.
the middle school?
We believe that would be it. We've informed them that this summer, because of it's a very unsafe
Yes.
situation to be in for our players and our tennis team. So we've already instructed them, there will be no use of that tennis court.
Should we put some kind of signage up there? to
We
keep
could do
regular-
that, just so
regular
that the public
residents from
also
use-
knows that,
Right.
it is really is an unsafe environment to be
Yeah, what
using
hap-
for athletics.
What happens when they go to the middle school, because there are only 4 courts over there, they have to run 2 shifts. And what'll happen is they'll run out
Makes
of
the-
daylight.
Makes the games longer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that is it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, next I am at communications and expressions from the public, and I have quite a few. Okay, I have 6. I do want to give all of you an opportunity to speak, but, and you can kind of discuss it amongst yourselves. Seeing that they're all on the same subject, do you feel comfortable in picking a representative that could possibly speak on behalf of the whole group? Okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Brown, if you could grab the mic, there's a microphone on the table over here, and if you could just make sure it's on, and then kind of stand in the center because the camera is right here so that our viewers at home
Should
can
be the
see
top
you.
switch.
Yeah, I don't even know. I look at it sometimes, but I don't know which switch is which. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak before the board today. My name is Joseph Brown. I reside at 6818 Niagara Street. And I'm here today to speak on a concern that myself and a lot of parents have regarding the varsity girls basketball coaching situation. I have 5 children. I've had 3 go through the entire Romulus public school system. I have 1 graduating this year, and I have another one that's a freshman. Now, all my kids have participated in sports, and my oldest daughter, she's currently going to school in the UP playing basketball on a scholarship. This year, for some unknown reason, but you know, my oldest daughter, she decided to quit the team. She's been playing basketball since she was in the 3rd grade. I've coached over here in the community through the recreation department, AAU, and you know, I don't encourage any of my children to quit, but for this particular instance, I was behind on 100%. I mean, it was a lot of put down. You know, I mean, she's a senior, and even as a junior, they were asking her to do things. You know, when you're a junior, you're supposed to be part of the varsity team. She was on the varsity team. Well, they asked her to go down and play for the junior varsity team, which she just did willingly, no problems. But this year, she was up there during the summer. She worked hard all summer long. She was participating in the summer programs, and she just felt she got tired of being put down. She got tired of being bullied, you know. I mean, she wrote a letter to the athletic director. She also sent a letter to the principal of the high school. I addressed it with the principal and the athletic director. You know, and I don't know what your policy is on nepotism over here, but, you know, I mean, it seemed to have something to do with that. And, you know, I voiced my concerns because, like I said, you know, all my kids have gone through the system except for the last 2. And I don't want this to be a problem for my youngest daughter because she also plays basketball. And, I mean, there's a lot of instances. I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to speak for everyone. I'm sure they have their own different concerns, so I'm not going to speak for a long time. But I think years ago, they set up through the Board of Education, I think when Mr. Clark was here, an athletic committee consisting of some parents and some board members and teachers and whatnot. And, you know, that seemed to work pretty good. And, you know, without having those types of checks and balances in place, I think, you know, it's kind of gotten a little out of hand to me, in my opinion. But, you know, they give the kids an evaluation. I think that the coaches should also have an evaluation after each season. And I think it's time for Coach Kilgore to move on. I mean, there's been instances where he hasn't shown up for practices for 2 weeks at a time. He doesn't have his team prepared going into the districts. And, you know, I mean, I understand if you got to work a second job or whatever, but if you're not ready to make a commitment, then I don't think you should, you know, get totally involved. And, you know, let somebody come in that's ready to make a commitment to the team. But, you know, there's a lot of other concerns that I can bring here, but for the sake of brevity, I'd like for someone else, you know, be able to voice their Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.